Hey folks, in this video we're going to look at one of the most commonly used features in Python, the for loop. Whether you're working with lists, strings, dictionaries, or even files, for loops are your go-to tool for doing something repeatedly and predictably. Let's start by understanding why these kinds of loops exist in Python. Imagine you have a list of names and you want to perform the same action on each name. Without a loop, you'd have to write the same line of code over and over again, once for each item. That's not only repetitive, it's fragile. If your list changes, your code breaks. A for loop solves this by automating the repetition. It lets you say, for each item in this collection, do this thing. It's efficient, it's clear, and once you get the hang of it, it's one of the most natural ways to work with data in Python. Now let's look at the basic syntax. Here's a simple example. It starts with the for keyword. Then we write a variable name. This will represent each item, one at a time. Next comes the in keyword, followed by the thing we're looping over, like a list. And finally, a colon to mark the start of the body of the loop. Everything indented underneath will be run once for each item. Okay, let's try that in practice. Suppose we have a list of planets. We can print each one like this. Each time through the loop, the variable planet holds one of the items from the list. So on the first run through the loop, the planet variable holds the value Mercury, which is then printed. On the next iteration, the loop moves on to the next item in the list, which is Venus, and assigns that to the planet variable, which is then printed. This process continues one at a time through each item in the list. For each iteration, the planet variable is set to the value of the next item in the list until there aren't any items left. At that point, the loop exits because there aren't any planets left. Let's look at another example. This time, we'll print a message for each name in a list. We've got 3 names in this list, so we know the loop will run 3 times. 1 time for each item in the list. In the first iteration, the name variable is set to the first name in the list, which is Alice. We then enter the body of the loop, where the message is printed, which includes the name variable we just set. Then in the next iteration, we move to the next name in the list, which is Bob, and assign that to the name variable. We then enter the body of the loop, where we print the message, which now contains the new value of the name variable. We then repeat the process one last time for the last name in the list. So that's the basic structure of a for loop. Now let's explore 2 tools that let us control the loop from inside. The first is break. The break statement lets us exit a loop early before it finishes going through all the items. For example, here we've got a for loop, which iterates over a list of numbers and prints each of them. But take a look inside the body of the loop. We've added an if statement to check if the current number is 3, and if it is, we break, which means we exit the loop. So if we walk through the loop one item at a time, on the first iteration number is set to 1. We then check if the number variable is equal to 3, which we know it isn't, so we simply print the number. Then we move on to the next iteration where we set the number variable to 2. Again, we enter the body of the loop and check if the number variable is equal to 3, which in this case it isn't. So we simply print the number again. Then we get to the third iteration where we set number to the third item in the list, which is 3. This time when the if statement executes, the value of the number variable is indeed 3, and so the break statement is executed. This causes the loop to immediately exit, so we never get to the remaining items in the list. This is useful when you're searching for something. Once you've found it, there's no reason to keep looping. The next control statement we have access to inside a for loop is continue. Unlike break, which stops the whole loop, continue just skips the rest of the code for the current iteration and starts the next one. It's kind of like saying, don't worry, the rest of the code for this item in the list isn't needed, so you can just move on to the next item. Here's an example where we print only the odd numbers. If a number is even, we skip it. So the output will be 1, 3, and 5. Let's walk through each iteration, one at a time. In the first iteration, 1 is an odd number, so we don't enter the body of the if statement. We simply print the number. Then in the next iteration, number is 2, which is an even number, so we enter the body of the if statement, where continue is executed. This tells Python to skip the rest of the code found after the continue statement and simply move on to the next iteration. The next number in the list is 3, which is odd. This means the continue statement doesn't execute, and we simply print the number. 4 is an even number, which means the continue statement will be reached and executed. Nothing after the continue statement will be reached for that iteration. Instead, we jump straight to the next number in the list, which is 5. Since that's an odd number, the continue statement won't be reached, and so we'll jump straight to the print statement. So far, we've only talked about looping over lists, but in Python, you can loop over anything that is iterable. If you're not sure what an iterable is, take a look at the video and blog post I've posted below. For example, a dictionary is iterable, so you can use a for loop on it just like you would a list. But dictionaries work a little differently, so they're worth exploring on their own. Let's say we have a dictionary of fruit and their prices. If we loop directly over it, we get the keys. So that prints apple, banana, and cherry. But what if we want the price too? Well, for that, we can use the items method, which gives us both the key and the value. In this case, instead of simply specifying the value after the for keyword, we need to specify both the key and the value. This means for each iteration of the for loop, we have access to the key and value of the current item. That's the most common way to loop over a dictionary when you need both parts. There's a lot more to cover on using for loops, so I've linked a blog post below which goes into more detail. If this video helped you out, give it a like and subscribe for more Python tutorials.